in that neighborhood, nothing's ever sold in that neighborhood for more than 289. So I just, there's zero contingencies with the cash, other than 10 days due diligence to maybe fix a water heater or whatever, which is fine. But I think she's going to be my client's going to be delighted with that kind of money. Plus, they want to close quick, so
How
she's
quick?
all about that too.
How quick?
They can do it within 21 days after
Okay.
binding, which will most likely be today.
Wow. All right, let's do it. Congratulations, my friend. I want to make two comments on that real fast for everybody. The first thing I want to say is, well, actually, three comments. Michael, have you worked with a buyer yet?
No.
Okay. You guys ever seen the meme that's like the difference between like the listing agent and the buyer's agent? And the listing agent's like sitting in like a tube in the pool, just like kind of relaxing with like a cocktail. And the buyer's agent is like, driving all day everywhere and, missing out on offers and these kind of things, right?
Yep.
Isn't it a lot easier to work with sellers right now?
Wow. Yeah. It's been a breeze.
I'm going to see if I can find that meme for you guys. So here's my advice to you. That's one piece. The first thing is, or the second thing, I guess, is everyone in the entire area should know about what just happened, right? Letting them know that you took a listing within a day or two, it had 11 offers or 10 offers, that you received an offer a good bit above list price. Don't tell them the exact number, a good bit above list price, which would then therefore be the highest sale in the history of this particular neighborhood.
Mhm.
And I would not be doing my job if I didn't let the owners in this neighborhood know that number one, there are 9 other people that want to live here at least.
Right.
And secondly, you may be able to sell your home for close to 10% higher than you ever imagined possible. So I just wanted to share that information with you. Maybe you want to take advantage of it right now. Maybe you want to ask some questions. Maybe you want me to come and do a valuation of your home or something of that nature. I just wanted to be in relationship with you. So when you have some questions after this sale goes through, that may change your path. And I just want to make myself available to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
Okay.
talking to their next door neighbors. They're lifers. They're not moving out. But I did say to them, you have just received the gift of a ton of equity, and you should be refinancing or cashing out, buying that boat, whatever you want to do, because your house is worth so much more money now.
That's right. And you know what? Everyone is a lifer until they get an offer that they can't refuse. Right. So when the sales are 290, they're a lifer. When the sales are 390, they're like, where? Huh? I'm out of here.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So don't assume that they're lifers. Just give them the information that everyone in the community deserves, and let's see what happens.
Right on.
Make sense? And then just a quick comment on the financing. That's a no-brainer for cash, in my opinion. The main thing that drives that decision is the appraisal. If there's
Right.
never been a sale above 289 and you got a cash offer for 312 and an FHA loan for 315, you need to take the cash. That's the end of the
Right.
discussion. Okay, because this is what I told you earlier, Michael, is the FHA guy is willing to pay 315 for using somebody else's money.
Right.
The 312 guy is willing to use their own money, and that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, I do think it's some kind of conglomerate, deal. I don't think it's actually a person, but I don't care.
Um, you probably Google the person, see if they own other assets, or see if they are a company that perhaps has had some non-ideal stuff said about them or something like that, right?
Right.
But so many buyers now are institutional buyers or corporations of some sort. That doesn't scare me, unless you
Well, it,
find
it could
something
also
that is
be that just reading the name on the the who signed it. It could also be that they just did one of those make me a cash buyer program kind of deal.
right. So I'd go back in the tax records. Oh no, that wouldn't be applicable. So yeah, I hear you. So many buyers now are LLC buyers or kind of group of investors get together, or institutional bankers are buying, and these kind of things. I wouldn't worry about that. Google them to see what you see, but I wouldn't. That doesn't scare me.
All right.
Congratulations, sir. Wow.
Thank you.
You got some great stats now, right? So when you go in,
No
and say,
doubt.
hey, did the other agent happen to mention their list price to sales price ratio? Right? Did the other agent mention what their average days on the market is?
I may only
they
have
didn't.
2, but I am 2 for 2, baby.
Well, yeah, your average is like 3 or 2 or something, and your average is selling the homes for 6% above list price or something, right?
10.
And so 10%. Wow. So you go in there and you go to the next seller and say, when they say, well, what's the difference between working with you and working with this guy that's going to charge me less? Say, let me ask you a question. I appreciate that concern. I would have the same concern, but let me share with you. Did they happen to mention their average sales price to list price ratio? Well, no. Really? Well, did they happen to mention their average days on the market? Well, no. Really? So my average days on the market is 1.5 days, right? And my average list price to sales price ratio is 110%. Do you think that if they were selling homes in less than a couple of days, or selling homes for 10% above original asking price, do you think that'd be something they'd want to share with you?
Right. Very
I didn't
good.
tell them, I asked them, right?
Right.
So do you think that's something that they would have been willing to share or been excited to share? Well, yeah, that's exactly why they're charging what they're charging, and I'm charging what I'm charging.
All right.
And
I'll
stop
remember
talking.
that line. That's a good one.
Right. Aubrey says it slightly differently, which I like. He says, some companies charge less, and quite frankly, they should. Would you like me to explain?
That's good stuff too.
Okay. All right. Congratulations, sir. Let's
Thank
do
you.
one more piece of positive news, and then we'll move right into today's topic. Who else
I'll
had
share
some
then,
good
Bill,
stuff
because I'm
happening?
really excited.
What's that, Melissa?
I said I'll share then because I'm really excited.
Yeah, I was hoping you would. Tell us all about your buyer.
So Heather Hare and I did an open house for Carrie Veal this weekend, and no joke, Heather had left for the afternoon, and a guy walked in, and we literally maybe chatted for about 30 seconds, and he looked straight at me and said, "I want you to represent me. Can we put in an offer?" And I was like, yeah, that's exactly why I'm here. And literally, like, within 24 hours, I had the earnest money in my hand, the BBA signed, and we're submitting an offer today.
Wow, congratulations. I will tell you, that's never happened
fantastic.
to me at an open house. However, we've had a few really cool open house stories, right? Julian did an open house for Candace, I believe, like a week or 2 ago, and ended up with a buy sell. One of them was around 600, the other one was around 450 or something, right? So that's $30,000, a little over $30,000 worth of potential commissions, simply by having hung out with Candace for a couple hours at a beautiful house.
Yeah, I'll be, he actually said to Heather in front of me yesterday that he walked in, and him and his wife they're an Indian family. And he looked at me, and they just liked my energy and the way I spoke to them. And that's literally what did it to them. And I mean, I'm still speechless over it, honestly.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did they happen to ask you how long you've been in the business?
Absolutely not. That did not come up at all.
Did they happen to ask you how many sales you've had?
Absolutely not. He
Did
looked
they ask
right
you
at
where
me
you went
and
to
said,
college or what you studied or anything?
He literally didn't ask me one question.
Did they ask you what you got on your SATs?
Absolutely not.
Guys, that stuff makes no difference. They chose her because she put off an energy of confidence, and because she probably was smiling the entire time.
You know me.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying it. So
Right.
if you're thinking, gosh, I've not sold a whole lot of property. Oh, my statistics aren't that great. Oh, I'm not positive I know what I'm doing. Just go host an open house, please. Okay. And bring somebody along like Michael or Julian or Melissa or Candace or whoever, and watch what they do. And then go do it. Right. Let's get in the game. Oh, man. Give me one more. This is fun.
Awesome. You guys are rocking.
Anyone else have some good news they want to share? We got Ginny Parsley on the call today for the first time. Welcome, Ginny. And Lorinda, I think you've been on the call once or twice before, but they are both new to PC. So let's give them a big welcome and watch out for their questions and comments on the chats in case they need some help and trying to figure out their way around here. Okay, let's talk a little bit about database. Okay, I put two things in the announcements chat this morning. The first is just one more sidebar, and then I promise we'll get to it. Bold registration. Bold registration. Okay. Bold is $799 to complete Bold if you register by the 13th of October. Okay, that's an early bird discount. If you wait until after first step to Bold, it goes up, I think, around 50 bucks. So it's probably $849 at that time. The office is going to pay $400 payable in 2 installments of $200 at each closing for the binding agreements written between the first day of Bold and January 13th. Okay, so 3 months. Okay, so you put something under contract between those during those 3-month time period, you will get $200 back at closing from the market center when it closes. And that will honor that 2 times from the market center. Okay. I want you to understand, this is a MAPS coach that is, she's a top MAPS coach. So she's $1,500 for 4 30-minute sessions, which is $2 2 hours. So she is $750 an hour for coaching. And how many hours are you going to get?
7.
No. You're going to get 7 days. And each day is what, 3 hours, I think. So that's 21 hours plus the first day. So around 25 hours, you're going to get for the cost of 1 hour. Plus you get a chance to have a rebate back. Hey, Candace, should we offer something from us? What should we offer?
I think we should offer the other half back from the first 2 closings.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty big gift, you guys.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so closings 3 and 4, or let me rephrase that. Yeah, I guess it's closings, but binding agreements that happen during the same 3 months, when closings 3 and 4 close, the productivity coaching program will pay the other 200 and then the other 200. Okay?
Love that.
Make sense? Okay, beautiful.
That's very generous, Bill. Thank you.
You're welcome. All those numbers better be in there. We're not paying for squat. Fair? Okay. Okay. This is a.
I have a quick.
What's that?
I have a quick question. So
Yes.
I've registered for Bold, but do I need to also like fill out the separate rebate? So those are 2 separate things? Or is it the same
Cap rebate
thing?
will be paid once the cap resets.
So
I don't know for sure. I'm going to need to ask Lee or Aaron on that. My hunch
Okay.
is you would
'Cause
just fill out
I
a
had
piece
Lee
of
like
paper.
register me.
Okay, so my hunch is that you would just deal with that when the closing actually takes place and just let them know
Okay.
that, you know, this is a
Okay.
particular one, and they'll check to make sure the binding date was during that time period, and then you'll get your rebate. It's not, we're not trying to paperwork
Okay.
you out of like getting the, you know, rebate or something.
All right, thank you.
Candace, were you trying to say something? Okay. Any other questions on Bold? All right, beautiful. This is, I have to go back and count, but I think this is either my 16th or 17th Bold. My first time with this woman. And by the way,
Oh, I was gonna ask a question.
Yeah.
What's the difference between, I mean, obviously it's in person, but between the bowl that just happened and then this one? Like, I don't quite understand what the difference is. Like, is it, I mean, if you just did bold, do you really need to do it again right now?
I'm so glad you asked that question, Ryan.
You're welcome.
The truth of the matter is I'm not 100% sure. What I have noticed about Bold since the COVID started is that every time Bold has come out, there's been tweaks, meaning they have done evaluations on what, you know, lessons were determined to be, you know, extra valuable and which ones perhaps were less valuable. And now they, you know, they're giving you essentially the best of the best. Okay. There is a completely different vibe when you're in person though. Okay, you get accountability groups, and you feel kind of this kind of, I don't want to call it pressure, but sometimes it is pressure to perform not only for you, but for your teammates, right? So the short answer to you, Ryan, is you should always go to bowl, right? It's not about, they call it a conditioning class. So like, let's say you're going to run a marathon. Okay, you can't go to the gym once or twice and like, hang out on the treadmill and expect to run 26 miles, right? You have to condition your body through diet, through nutrition, through exercise, etc. Right? So let's just pretend you did bowled 100% last time. Okay, then you got a certain degree of conditioning. If you've been able to follow your schedule flawlessly, if you've hit your numbers flawlessly, if you are perfect at every presentation, etc., I could probably give you some grace and say you can sit this one out. But I don't think that's the case. No offense, I think you're a lot higher than the vast majority of people, but I don't think anyone should be sitting out bowls.
And this is the other thing I'd like to say is that it's an intense class with a lot of work. And if you take bold and that's the only time you have that kind of intensity and that kind of work, then take it every single time. And the other thing that might happen is if you take it enough, that might become your new norm. Like Bill is saying, it's that you expect you're going to call 100 people a week and make 100 contacts a week. That's a no-brainer for you because you've done it so many times when you've taken bold.
Yeah, that's a good example there. So for example, one of the things that they talk about in bold is doing 20 contacts per day, per day that you work. So let's say 100 contacts a week, right? And it's kind of like if you were to go to the gym and you lifted, let's say 15 pounds, and you did that for a couple weeks. If you went and picked up the 10 pounders, you'd be like, what is this? This is simple, right? That's the idea of go do 20 contacts for a while and prove to yourself that it's possible. And then most of us have goals that require less contacts anyway. So then I tell you, hey, to hit your goals, you only have to talk to 14 people a day. And you're like, that's it? That's the whole point. It's not about like learning how to do a listing presentation. It's about learning how to think differently. Okay. All right. I hope to see every single one of you guys there. Let's talk about the database for a second. Okay. This is a document. I just posted it in the announcements 10 or 15 minutes ago. And this is from a bold that I had previously taken. And what it's encouraging you to do is to take a look at your database. And I think we all have people in our database, or we all have people that we are in relationship with that are not in the database. So the first threshold of people that should be in the database is every single person that you know and that knows you, okay, that you enjoy being in the same room as them, right? If you have like an arch enemy that you know and they know you, but every time you see them, it pisses you off, let's not put them in the database. We're not interested in doing business with people that we don't enjoy being around. Is that fair? Okay, so everyone that you're in, that you are friends with or admire or know from afar, as long as you enjoy spending time with them, they should be in the database. Okay, so the first place I would look is your cell phone, right? So who do you call? Whose names do you have stored in there, right? And are they in command in the real estate database? Okay, that's the first threshold. The next threshold I'd go to is LinkedIn. Okay, if you guys are not on LinkedIn, I highly suggest that you go on LinkedIn and that you deck out your profile. Okay, people are looking you up if they're going to trust you with giving them the advice on helping them buy a multiple $100,000 asset or sell one. Okay, so don't have the little question mark that has the, shows that you haven't even bothered to upload a photo. Okay, so put your stuff in there and let them know the kind of the theme, so to speak, of the theme, so to speak, of your profile should read leadership, customer service, learning based, right? Friendly, stress free, these kind of things. That's what people want to hear about you. So let's just take Michael, for example. Michael's been in the business almost right around a year or so, right? However, you've done customer service stuff forever in some degrees. So make sure that's clear on the profile, okay? They also have a really cool feature where they can make recommendations on people that you should be connected with. It is my opinion that you should connect with every single one of them. It's a little different than Facebook in that respect. Okay, if you don't know them so well, say, oh my gosh, I just realized that you and I have a friend Mike in common, and that you live in Atlanta and you're a roofer. We should get to know each other because I'm in Atlanta and I do real estate. Right? How you doing? How's business? Is there anything I can do to support you? Who's your ideal client? Right? And make that connection. So that's the second place I'd go. Then I'd go to Facebook or Instagram or both, and make sure that the people that, like the people you went to college with, the people that you have had past jobs with, your neighbors, your people from church, all of these people should be in your database. Okay. Once you have that in place, you want to do a couple of things. The next thing you want to do is you want to try to evaluate kind of what I would call the health of the database. The health of the database is essentially how complete are all the contact profiles. Like, do you have everyone's email address? Do you have everyone's cell phone number? Do you have everyone's social media connected? Do you know where they live? Like, that's a big one. We are in real estate, right? So do you know where they live? Right? So you can assign a neighborhood to them and all that stuff. If you're missing particular information, just call them and ask for it. But if you're going to ask for their email address, then you want to make sure that you have something essentially to barter for their email address. Hey, if I deliver this to you, would that be of value? And if so, is email the best way to send that to you? Right? I don't want to send you, a bunch of junk emails about setting back your clocks and stuff. I'm going to send you real valuable information about the value of your home and interest rates and what's going on in the real estate space, and vendors that might be able to be helpful to you with coupons and all these kind of things, right? So that's something that would interest you. We're putting together a vendor list. Once it's complete, would you like me to send it to you? Okay, great. What's your email address? By the way, who's your favorite roofer? Do you have any vendors that you've worked with lately that you really liked? Something of that nature, right? Okay, so we want to complete those profiles as much as possible. Remember, every single conversation that you're having with every single person you're having a conversation with, the idea that you should have in mind is, let's say, 3 things. The first is, how can I give to this person? What can I give this person or share with this person that they is kind of like a surprise and delight in some way, right? What can you do to I'm thinking to say overgive, right? How can we be super generous with this person? That's the first thing. And the second and third things are getting data and updating data. So if you don't have their email, get it. If you have like, their AOL address from 25 years ago, get their new address. Okay. So getting data and updating data, that's the whole point of everything. Okay. Now, when you get that stuff, you should be looking for things that you in the future can give personalized attention to, right? What are their kids' names? Are they boys? Are they girls? How old are they? Where do they go to school? Where do they like to vacation? What hobbies do they have? What do the parents do now? Are they working from home? Do they travel a lot? What are their jobs? Right? You're trying to get all that type of information. An example that we've given is, I got to check in on her because she's not here today. Angela. Angela's about to have her baby, right? Let's say I know that her family is a huge Georgia fan, which happens to be, right? If I could, let's say I could send her 2 different things as a baby gift, right? I could send her a plain old onesie that I found at, Target or whatever, that's like gray, or I could send her a Georgia onesie. Which one do you think would be more, would make her smile more?
The Georgia onesie.
That's
for
right.
Sure.
That's right. So we should be looking at all times for things that are unique and personalized and special to our people. Okay, and make notes on that stuff, because eventually somebody else will be making those calls for you. At least sometimes, right? And if somebody else is making the calls, let's say, Michael, you're crushing it and you go and hire me as your assistant or something. And I call, I said, hey, I'm making a call on behalf of Michael to check in on your kids, how in your family, how's everything going? And I'm like, hey, how's Shayna doing? She's in 9th grade now or 10th grade now? And they're like, wow, even Mike's assistant knows my stuff. You see what I'm saying? There's never enough data. Just keep getting it. Okay, they like their eggs scrambled, write it down. Okay. You guys, I know I can see a lot of you in your black squares are smiling now, but I'm being serious. Okay. Candace, should we make a rule about the third and fourth bold transactions? They have to put their faces on the screen.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Okay, we may have a little policy change here. Okay, so let's do an exercise, okay? This document basically says, who do I already know that is not in my database? Okay, and the vast majority of these honestly have one thing in common, which are, these are people we support financially. Okay, let me read a couple of them to you. Who is your dentist? Who's your children's dentist? Who's your doctor? Who's your spouse's doctor? Who's your children's doctor? Who does your taxes? Who's your dermatologist? Who cuts your grass? Who does the landscaping? Who does the household repairs? Who maintains the security system? Who sold you your window coverings? Who's your painter, plumber, electrician? Who treats your pets for fleas and all that kind of stuff? Who cleans your carpets? Who cleans your windows? Who services your AC and heat? Who are your former teachers and coaches? Who are your fraternity brothers or sorority sisters? A few of you guys might be saying to yourself, well, I do the landscaping and I do the household repairs, right? And we can't afford a security system. That's the beautiful thing about this business, y'all. Just go make a couple more calls. You'll end up with a couple more appointments. You'll end up with a couple more listings, and you'll end up with a couple more commission checks. Okay. And you don't ever have to cut the grass again. I took my daughter rock climbing yesterday, and it was right around the corner from where I grew up. So I drove her by the house, and the house has a real slanted like front yard, right? And I was just thinking back, I was like, that's the last yard I mowed when I was like 15 or whatever. And I hadn't mowed a grass since, and I'm never planning on it, right? That's the kind of thing that we can get rid of if we don't want to do it anymore, guys. Okay, who are your children's teachers? Who's your trainer? Who did I go to high school with, right? Who's your florist? Who's your hairstylist? Who are your best friends? Who sold you your car? Who attended your wedding, right? Who do your children do sporting events with? Who do you go to for massages? Who sold you furniture? Who did you buy your electronic appliances from, right? Who's your lawyer? Who's your dietitian? Who lives on either side of you, right? Your next door neighbors. Who lives across the street? So I say all these to say, these are people that we're supporting financially. Is it unreasonable to ask them to consider to support us financially? Is that crazy talk?
No.
Good answer, right? So if I'm going to send my home inspector 25 buyers this year, right, and 5 of them are going to leave the deal and go do another deal with him. So that's like, let's say 30 home inspections. Did I get any referrals from him? I have. Did I get any referrals from the last guy? No. And that's why he was the last guy. Right? I earned the right, in my opinion, I earned the right to be in a symbiotic relationship. Okay. Now I'm not going to go get a crappy home inspector that just so happens to send me business, right? I only work with A players, but technically I only work with A players who send me business. Does that make sense? That's why it drives me crazy when I see this stuff on Georgia Legacy Group that says like, hey, who's your person in Orlando? Who's your realtor down in Orlando? Right? And they look, and somebody names somebody. Let's say I name somebody. Oh, my favorite realtor in Orlando is, Joan Smith. Joan Smith's already sending me deals. What do you want to deal with her for? You need to go find your own real estate agent in Orlando. You see what I'm saying? Is that crazy? Candace, is that crazy?
It's not crazy, Bill. I almost made that mistake. And then Heather Hare called me and was like, what are you doing? And I was
Oh,
like,
you,
oh,
this is
you're
your
right.
first
I
deal,
didn't even
right?
think about that. Oh no, this was a referral I had last week in Houston.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie, I did that. And Heather Hare saw it and called me immediately and was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh man, I didn't even think about it that way. Like
It's probably because I
for some
called,
reason,
Heather
it just,
probably did it, and I called her 2 years ago and was like, what are you doing? Stop that, take that
right.
down. Okay. Okay, so this list is very, very thorough, right? Who does your dry cleaning? Who do you buy, who delivers your mail? I've talked to real estate agents that introduce themselves to the mailman, said, hey, you want some extra money as you're driving around? Every time you see a FSBO, you take a picture of the house, a picture of their number, I'll give you $5. Then they drive around looking for them for you. They're already driving around. You see what I'm saying? Fabiola, that I love that smile. Thank you.
No, we have a crazy mailman that like goes up curves and stuff like that. We like try to avoid him. So I don't know if that'll, I'm scared to talk to him.
I wouldn't be
Ask
scared.
the UPS driver then.
Yeah, just wave him down and catch him when he's like at your house, like not moving. So you don't have to worry about him
Yeah.
running you over or something, right?
Yeah, kids are like, don't stay away from the mailbox when they come. They all know in our neighborhood.
You know, another person that this says is, who was your wedding photographer or who was your wedding coordinator? Okay, what do you think people that get married do pretty soon after they get married?
Well, they buy houses.
Buy a house.
That's
Yep.
generally right. I think the statistics say that this feels low to me, but it's about a third of people that, wait, maybe the statistic is for babies, which is a whole different topic, right? A third of people that have a baby will move either the year prior to having a baby or the year after having a baby. Okay. So maybe you should get into relationships with people who hang out with people that are pregnant, right? Massage therapist, doulas, right? Doctors, that kind of stuff, right? Maybe you should hang out with wedding planners. My wife is, all you guys know, my wife is a professional photographer, and she has a relationship with a wedding planner. And like the wedding planner, I don't think they've come out and said this, but they basically won't do a wedding without my wife. They're like, everything is perfect when I work with her and everything is a mess when I work with everyone else. So I go, when I'm brought on, I go to the bride and groom and say, hey, you got to get this photographer or this thing's going to be a mess. You see what I'm saying? So can you get into relationship with some of these people? Now you're going to have to lead with generosity, obviously. You can't go in there and start taking, right? You're going to have to give a bit. But ultimately, you're helping one another grow your little businesses. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you this also. Sometimes this can be a little delicate, but I'm going to give you this advice, which is treat couples, or you can treat a couple like a couple, but try to make sure you have both of their stuff. Okay, both of their emails, both of their cell phones. Okay, I can't even tell you how many couples I've had relationships with, and there's generally a lead person, like you generally talk to the woman, or you generally talk to the other woman or the other man or whatever, right? And then they end up splitting up, and then you don't have the other person's information, right? So that's happened a couple of times, but it hasn't happened in a while once I learned that lesson. Make sense? Okay, let me give you a couple stats and then we'll call it a day. The first stat is, this is Keller Williams research, okay? And we've proven it in our group as well. When you have a database that is full of Mets, local Mets, okay? Now everyone that's not Met, like your farm, for example, or non-local people like, your friends back where you grew up or something, Those people should be in there too, but you should know who your local Mets are. So for every 16 local Mets that you communicate with systematically each year, which Keller Williams would say that's a minimum of 36 touches. We've had tons of classes on how to put that together. So 36 touches to your local Mets, you should have one deal every year. Okay, so if you want 10 deals, you need a database of 160 people. If you want 20 deals, you need a database of 320 people. The faster you can get to that number, the more likely you are to get to your unit goal. Okay. And then all you have to do is love on those 320 people like crazy. Give, 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 give. You see what I'm saying? And go deep with them. You should know what their cat's name is. Okay. Now, the other piece of research, well, let me actually do a little math on that for you. So the average commission check or the average sale price in Metro Atlanta right now is about $350. So let's say we take 3% on that. That's $10,500 is the average commission in Metro Atlanta right now. If you get paid for every 16 people you have in the database, we divide that number by 16. That means every single person you put in the database, guys, should be worth $656 per year. Now, if that doesn't cause you to get up and go meet some people, I'm not exactly sure what to say to you. Y'all follow that? So what I'd like to ask you to do is recommit, guys, to running your business with an organized database. And every day, that database should get smarter. You should have more people in it, and you should have more data in it. Okay. The other thing I would say is this is a slightly different stat because the numbers don't quite match the one I just described. But if the average person moves every 8 to 9 years, then that means at any one time you should have somewhere between 11 and 12% of the population of any population should be moving that year. Maybe they'll rent, maybe they'll buy, it doesn't make a difference, right? So 11 to 12% of the population will move this year. So therefore, 11 to 12% of, let's say, Michael, let's just say you have a 200-person database. Okay, and that means there should be somewhere in the 23 to 24 of those people will be moving this year. If I were to ask you, Michael, how many people are in your pipeline? Remember, the pipeline is a subset of the database of those that we believe will move in the next 12 months or buy or sell within the next 12 months. Let's just say, for example, you told me there was 8. I would venture to tell you there's at least 16 people in your database who will move this year. You just don't know about it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, so wait, let's do that math too. So that's 10,500 times 16. That means you're leaving approximately $160,000 on the table. Actually, not only are you leaving it on the table, but your competition is earning it. And then your competition is turning around and buying more signs, and buying more leads, and buying more technology, and buying more time of people, etc., in an effort to make sure that you don't stick around. Now, I know I've been a little in your face today, but does anyone have any thoughts on that?
My biggest thought is I need to spend more time with my database.
Why?
Because you know, I'm just not, I don't think I do 36 touches very well. I need to really up my my command game and just you know,
Anyone else
communicate
want
with
to
my
share?
people. What's that?
Anyone else want to share?
I would say before bold, I would get my database in order, and I would also call everyone in my database. Just do a week of calling and get as much information as you can.
Do a career of calling.
Yes.
Guys, these are your people. They should not be making real estate decisions without speaking to you first. It's that simple. You need to be their guide. Yet you have to earn that right? You have to earn that right by being around and being helpful and having a good reputation and being informed. right? Studying the marketplace, knowing how to deal with the contracts, etc. Ashley, can I put you on the spot for a second?
Sure.
Can you tell me or tell everyone about the relationship you have with the admissions guy or admissions woman of your kid's school?
Oh, yeah. So last year, I mean, I knew him before, and then when my son started the school there last year at the beginning of the year, I sent him a note and some business cards, and I sent him a little trinket gift kind of thing as well. And I just said, you know, if you know of anyone, or if you hear of a family moving to Roswell from someplace else, you know, outside the state or outside the city, going to the school, or a family moving away from the area, would you mind just giving them my business card? I'm happy to give 1% of my net commission back to the school. And he got back to me and was very nice and said, sure, you know, I'm happy to do it. And I've gotten one closing just from that already. And I'm kind of helping, he and his wife are thinking about moving. And so I'm kind of helping him as well.
And how many dollars have you earned in commission from that relationship in the last year?
I think it's like 10,000.
Wow. Right. And that guy's probably going to buy a home that will be paid a lot more than 10 grand on, right?
Yes.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Probably time for, I don't know how long it's been since you talked to that person, but go surprise him today. Surprise and delight him today.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right. Okay. The other thing, I just kind of flip to the next page here, and it says, do you know anyone who lives in the following states? Right. It just lists all the states. Alabama. Who do I know in Alabama? Colorado. Whom do I know in Colorado? Right. So don't be afraid to add people to the database. Okay, that's your business. That is, if you were to ever sell your business, that's what you're selling. You're selling the relationships. Right. Make sense? Okay. Who wants to have a little contest today?
Do tell, Bill.
Bill.
What's this?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Could I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Is there any way that we could hire someone to manage our database, or what type of person would that be to hire?
Eventually that would be a director of lead gen, right? These would be either inside salespeople or outside salespeople. I would say there are a number of hires you should be making before you even consider that. That's your baby for a while. That's probably
Okay.
the last job you would give away, other than going
So
on
I
LinkedIn.
mean, like someone that could possibly do all the database entry.
Oh, that's a different question altogether.
Yeah,
So somebody that can just
someone
do
that
the,
could add all these people in for me and get all their emails and everything like that for me, like, because
so there's you're asking two different things, or I believe you're asking two different things. One is who gets the information. That's you. You need to be making those phone calls. Don't outsource that. These are your relationships. Now, once you get all the data, you could be writing it on scratch sheets of paper or sending an email to somebody, have a high school kid put it in the computer. I'm sure. You see what I'm saying? So one is the actual act of getting the data. That should be you for a long, long time. That will probably be you forever. Okay. And the other is, what do you like, the administrative stuff of actually getting it into the system, right? And putting them on a smart plan, that or something like that. That all happens behind the scenes. So that should not be you ultimately. We can talk offline about this.
yeah, sure.
But I would say, most of you guys have probably heard me say this 100 times. I think your kids should know how to do commands, quite honestly. Every time you go to the fridge, there's stuff in there that you didn't buy. You like that? Okay, here's how to use commands. This is a family business.
Love it.
Okay. If not, go hire a high school kid, right? You hire a high school kid to cut your grass, hire him to put in your database, right? You could also hire a virtual assistant, and get virtual assistants for less than $10 an hour. That's what I did. I still do that, right? All day long. I'm like, hey, change this person's cell phone number to this and tag them with this. And then I don't have to open command, it just changes because I'm paying somebody to do that, right? But we lead with revenue, right? Everything is your job until you're making so much money that you can afford to pay somebody comfortably, right? Not only are your personal reserves where they ought to be, but your business reserves are where they ought to be. Then we can start paying people for stuff. Okay. All right. How about a contest? Okay.
We're intrigued, Bill.
You're intrigued. Okay. How about this? How many people do you think you could add to your database today? Given this whole big cheat sheet.
Maybe 10.
Maybe 10 before 10. Yeah, probably. What else? Sorry, I think 10 would be a great goal, but I think we can all do more than that. What do you think?
I don't know. It sounds like 10's the winner.
No, 10 is definitely not the winner. I think everyone's
I'm
just a little.
I'm just gonna up the game a little bit, and I think what's the time span, Bill?
How about before the end of the month? So these last 4 days. By the way, all the tracking for the final month will be at the end of Thursday. Okay, so you still have these next 4 days to beef up your numbers for the end of the month. So here's my thought. The person who adds the most to their database and records it with a minimum of, let's say, so 4 days, let's say a minimum of 100 people added to the database. So all those, they have to have their numbers in, minimum of 100 over the course of the next 4 days. Candace, what should we give them?
I don't know, a bold ticket?
Damn, that's pretty generous.
It is generous.
Way to motivate somebody.
What?
Way to motivate somebody.
Should we do a bold ticket?
I think we should do a bold ticket.
Wow,
Okay.
that's huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
For 100 people in 4 days, I think that we should do a bold ticket. And they
Okay.
have to be 100 with phone numbers and emails,
Okay.
not just names.
And they have to be
So,
in the system.
so will dual agents and regular agents have the same goal?
Oh yeah, of
Okay.
course. Dual career means you have 2 careers. Means you work 40 hours or whatever.
We
it was
chose
for-
this life.
And
Yeah.
then you work 40 hours at your real estate business. You have 2 careers. It doesn't mean you just do it on the side. That's obvious from Marquia's last couple months, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the deal. The person that has the most with a minimum of 100 will buy a bold ticket for. If there's at least 10 other people that get 50. So it's a team effort.
Love that.
How's that? So we need 10 people above 50, and then the winner, which has to be above 100, will get a free bold ticket. Okay?
All right.
And I'm just gonna say you can do this.
Oh, we can absolutely do this. Absolutely do this. All right, guys, I'm proud of you. I am committed to your success, and I'm looking forward to seeing all these awesome results. So we have to have a minimum of 10 people that have 50, and then the winner has to have at least 100, and they'll go to Bold for free. Courtesy of me and Candace. It's not like some sponsor or the Market Center. Okay? Straight out of our pockets. All right,
Wow.
guys, have a wonderful
Thanks.
day.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you guys. You too.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks for all the